part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Chase Smith, founder and CEO of Press Play Podcast. You may have heard me on the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast with Jeremy Powell, now wonderfully hosted by Holly Wetzel, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast with Sam Amico, or my own podcast, the Chase Smith Podcast. I wanted to take a few moments to talk to you about a brand new subscription-based podcast we're offering this football season, the Press Play Sports Podcast. This premium podcast feed will send all of the sports podcasts offered on the Press Play Podcast Network to one central feed. Yes, you can still follow and subscribe to all of our individual shows for free on every podcast platform. But if you wanted to consolidate your podcast feed and listen to them all in one location, the Press Play Sports Podcast is for you. I'm talking the Oranges and Oranger Browns podcast with Holly Wetzel and Jeremy Powell, Red Guy and Rhoda, Sable Brothers on the Baseline, Cavs on the Break, the Dennis Maniloff Show, the Ball Card Show, the Premium Fantasy Podcast, a Swing in a Tribe MLB podcast, and the Tim and Shipe Show, a college football podcast, all in one feed. All 9 of our sports shows curated into one single podcast feed. Out the door, you're looking at $5.36 a month after tax. That's $5.36, just about the cost of a drink at Starbucks. And this is only offered on Apple Podcasts. You can't get this anywhere else. It's an Apple Podcast exclusive. Just go to the search bar and search Press Play Sports. It'll come up and you can subscribe from there. We're excited to offer this consolidated, curated sports feed for you to enjoy. And as always, thank you so much for listening and your support.
45-40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, can't block! They blocked the kick!
All right, what is up, y'all? This is the Orange is Oranger Cleveland Browns podcast. I'm Holly Wetzel at Holly Ann Liz on Twitter. I'm holding down this Browns pod with none other than Jeremy Powell, aka Jeremy in Akron, Browns insider extraordinaire. So, Jeremy, listen. So, while I do enjoy being right, okay, I'm a woman too, if you didn't know, and I'm enjoy being right. This past Sunday was, one of those times that I was right? And I know you were right too. You get credit, but I was right too. And it was not a time that I like to be right? I mean,
Sure.
we predicted an L, and it kind of played out exactly almost what we had outside of these ridiculous turnovers. I like to punt the Scottish Hammer out of this roster, but that's another story.
Gosh.
But I like to say that we're realists, right? We're still hopeful. We're excited. This doesn't change much of what, we kind of expected or predicted. And, we were going up against one of the best teams, if not one, in the league. The Chiefs know how to make plays when they matter most. It's where they differ from most of every other team in the league. They execute on critical moments. They were just phenomenal. They're the best of the best. And we hung with them for a while. So, give me your initial thoughts, Jeremy, about the game, and we'll kind of get into the turnovers and the Harrison issue of the shoving and all that, but give me your core thoughts.
Well, what's funny is it, and I don't mean to say I know everything or brag or say I'm right, but it went exactly as I thought it was going to go. To be honest with you, I knew the Browns were going to come out prepared. I knew it wasn't going to be anything like the opener last year in Baltimore. I knew they were going to come out and look like they knew what they were doing. I knew they were going to, I knew it was going to be a good game. I knew they weren't going to get ran out of the gym. The problem is you had everything stacked against you. You're playing in one of the toughest stadiums to play in the league, one of the loudest stadiums to play in the league, coming off a year where you didn't play in any hostile environments like that because there wasn't giant crowds anywhere. You had a team that has not lost a game in September in 3 years. You have a quarterback who's never lost a game in September. You had everything stacked against you, yet you still came in and you looked great. And then you know what? And the amazing thing is, actually, if it isn't for a mistake by your most reliable player, you probably win that game. It was pretty incredible. I'll give my boy Tony Romo some credit. Literally 30 seconds before Nick Chubb fumbled, he said, if Kansas City doesn't make a big play and find a way to get the ball back here, the Browns are just going to run it down their throat. And then
that's Tony Romo.
Incredible.
Man, he's always
incredible.
The future.
And then
always.
Literally the next play, Chubb takes a crazy hit from the side, gets his elbow, whatever, gets the ball pops out. The most reliable running back in the league, your most reliable player, turns the ball over in just a horrific spot. And, it looked like the Browns were just going to run it right down the field and score again. And that could have been the game. But all that aside, I mean, the offense looked fantastic, right? It was probably the second best half of football I've ever seen. I'd say the Tennessee first half last year was pretty incredible, but it was probably the second best half of football I've seen the Browns play in my lifetime. I mean, I see a lot of the people, and I'm sure you've seen some of the same, talking about like, oh, what's our defense doing? We have to find a way to stop Kelsey and Hill. It's impossible. Nobody can stop Kelsey and Hill. There's no scheme. Look, the smartest minds in the history of football are coaching right now in the NFL, and nobody can stop Travis Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. That's just what it is. When you have superior talent, you've heard the saying, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes. Well, the Chiefs have the best Jimmys and Joes in the league right now. There's no scheme. There's nothing you can do to stop those twos. Everybody has tried everything. Okay. The best you can do is manage the game, keep the plays to a minimum, keep everything in front of you, keep the big plays to the minimum. What happened? The one giant play they had was an underthrown ball that John Johnson was actually in good position on, but because the throw was underthrown, Tyreek Hill was able to make a play and go 74 yards for a touchdown. So I don't have any problem with the defensive scheme. The offensive scheme was masterful. It's just, like you said, the three turnovers. The three turnovers cost us. I know there's been some discussion on whether Baker was actually trying to throw out the ball out of bounds, like he said, or if it was just he didn't see him there and it was an errant throw. I don't know. At this point, I don't care. It happened. It's over. But I think when you consider all factors, all the stuff we just talked about with the winning streak, with playing in a hostile environment, playing one of the best teams in the league, coming off the Super Bowl, all that stuff, I don't think you can be disappointed. And look, going forward, you have a team. You have a team that's going to compete week in and week out as one of the best teams in the league, probably with one of the best offense, maybe the best offense in the league when it's all said and done behind Kansas City. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. I was not upset. Once again, I'll be honest, I was upset when he threw the pick. Look, we wanted the magical storybook ending to the game. It didn't happen. But 10 minutes after the game, I felt great. I said, look, this is a team that can play with anybody. It's probably the third or fourth, maybe fifth best team in the league. It's going to be an exciting season. And I wasn't upset at all. I know that's, I know that's maybe not the nature of a fanatic, right? A Browns fan, to not be mad right after a loss, but I wasn't, because I think if you step back and look at this logically, I don't think there's anything to be upset about, Holly.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, look, you can.
Okay, aside from the Scottish Hammer, Scottish Hammer, punt the damn ball. Even though he dropped that ball, he could have punted it. What was he thinking? Did he think he was going to outrun he probably did. I think probably in the back of his mind, he thought, oh, I can outrun everybody to the edge and get this 15 yards or whatever we needed for a first down. But it's like, man, you had 2 yards. Pick up the snap, punt the ball. Right. My goodness, man.
Like it's like that's what you do, right? So shouldn't that be your first innate thing to be like foot, ball, meat, right? Like
right.
That's you'd think, but it's looked like
flashbacks to his what did he play, like South? What was his, not rugby, but what did he play, like Australian rules football or whatever? He had a flashback to those days, I guess. But punt the dang ball.
Yeah.
Was it rugby he played? I was one of whatever one. What either way, he had a flashback to those days, but he should have just picked up the ball, kicked it. Isn't it ironic that a horrible play involving the punter, the last two openers, had a big influence on the game? The ill-fated
I didn't even
fake
think
punt.
about that.
Probably the worst call of Kevin Stefanski's career with the Browns on the fake punt there, and then the punter dropping the ball yesterday. So, but like I said, outside of that silly, stupid mistake, I mean, you can't fault Nick Chubb. That happens,
And you know what?
It just stinks that it's your guy.
I really think that with Chubb, it hurt. My friend and I were watching the game and we looked at each other and we both said at the same time, we're like, that hurt Nick Chubb more than it hurt us.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Or than anyone else.
Remember the only other time he had a game where he had a couple mistakes, that New England game in this driving rainstorm. Remember that? And he had a couple fumbles in one quarter, and one of them was on like end of a 60 run. And you could see it in his soul, how bad that hurt, It was just,
well, and that's a fluke, right? You can't control
exactly.
That's the stuff that happens. Unfortunately, those type of mistakes, regardless, even with someone at his caliber, cannot be made in a game against Kansas City. You have to play
clean.
Perfect.
Look, you have to play clean. The first half was as clean as you could possibly play. Minus, I guess you could say the end of the first half, after they moved it down, they should have got points out of that drive. But outside of that, that was as clean a first half as you can play. And you're right. If you're going to overcome all the things we talked about that were stacked against you in that game, you have to play clean football. And up until that point, we had played as clean a game as you could possibly play. And you know what? Look, it kind of came unraveled there, but it does show that when we play a clean game, we are as good as anybody in this league, maybe better than everybody in this league.
Right. And our talent is, we love being good on paper. I love men that are good on paper, but also good in action. That's a really important thing. They proved that they can and can definitely hang.
There's no doubt. Talent plus scheme. Right now we have talent. Yeah. And we have a scheme that fits our talent. And we have, like we talked about last week, we have leadership, we have coach, we have everything. We have the whole thing. Now we just have to, get it rolling this week.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard not to want to overreact or make certain assumptions after game one, especially with such an important game one that this was with who we were playing. Our natural reactions as fans, right, are to pick apart, as we are doing at this moment. This is why we have a podcast, to pick apart and see, what we can take away from this game, what to improve on, what to not improve on, or I should say avoid, or what have you. But it's a natural reaction for us to do this, but it is week one. And, I listen to some like local radio and stuff just to kind of get a flavor of what people are saying and thinking. And some of it's just outlandish of the overreactions. And so, but I will say it's much more of a minimum than it's ever been, at least since I've been listening. Sure. So I think fans are very much realistic. I think, Jeremy, I'd like to ping you and I as the realists here when we were going into this game of just what we were expecting. And with a team like the Chiefs, we have to just stay one step ahead. And I will say one of my major takeaways from Sunday was Stefanski motherfucking flexing all over play calling. I mean, his play calling has to be the best right now in the league. I mean, I could not believe, those fourth downs in the Chiefs red zone,
I posted just at one point, I just posted on Facebook, Kevin Stefanski with the period in that first half. Cause it was masterful. Everything, every little thing, they did not know and I think Tony Romo and Jim Nance, and I've heard lots of other people comment on this, but the incredible thing about the Browns offense is their runs look just like their pass plays, especially when they're in their 3 tight end sets or, that personnel grouping. You can't tell the difference. And that's what makes it so incredibly hard to stop when you have a scheme that is that magnificently put together with superior athletes. It's just impossible to stop. And, we probably, I don't even think it's probably, I think we do have the best guard center guard combo in the league. And the Browns do just incredibly complicated schematic stuff with those 3. You'll see all 3 of those pulling up. You'll just see, the zone blocking schemes, the pull. It's just incredible. And when you have a line that is that good working as one, and you have a scheme that is this good, and the defense can't tell the difference. And there's that, even if it's just that split second where they think you're running that holds them, that lets someone come across, like Anthony Schwartz coming backside. And who would have thought Anthony Schwartz? Who thought he was going to be part of the game plan?
I want to talk about him. I'm glad you brought him up.
And he has multiple big plays.
Yeah, I want to talk about him because you
just look at the stuff schematic. Let me finish with that real quick. Just schematically, the stuff that they do and the stuff that they did, and Kevin Stefanski pulling all the right levers. I just can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, and right. So of course, none of us predicted that he would be, the A1, right? And he again, that goes back to Stefanski and just. Everything is so methodical, everything.
Right.
And it goes back to the analytics of the game. And I actually looked at the unofficial depth chart right before we jumped on here, and Higgins is in. So I'm really hoping to see a big game from him with the Texans,
and I think he only played 5 plays.
Yeah.
I think Higgins played 4 or 5 snaps.
Same with DPJ.
So we'll see. But the whole thing is, I think, like you said, everything is methodically done. Now, there's no shooting from the hip with these guys. Like, there's a plan, and they're going to stick to the plan because they trust the plan, right? It's not anything. There's nothing thrown together. It's not a gut feeling like we've heard from Browns coaches in the past. Butch Davis favors for his gut feelings. It's not that anymore. Like you said, it's a marriage of analytics and football. And they know exactly what they're going to do, and they're going to stick to their plan because they believe in it. And it's nice to have that. And now that all being said, we got to win this week. If something happens this week, then it's Katie bar the door, right, with the fans. But they're let me spoiler alert, they're going to win this week.
For the Dennis Maniloff Show, I'll tap into my 40-plus years of following Cleveland sports and 30-plus years of writing and talking about them, so as to bring you informed opinions and analysis of your favorite players and teams. I also will monitor the national sports scene and, when warranted, step out of the toy department and into the real world. And I'll always be on the lookout for special guests. By all means, join us.
Hi, this is Maria Gincola with Mindful MMJ Ohio. Did you know that medical marijuana has been legal in Ohio since 2016? If you have one of 25 qualifying medical conditions, you can obtain your medical marijuana card today. The most common conditions are chronic pain, including migraines and back or joint pain, PTSD, fibromyalgia, spinal cord disease or injury, and cancer. If you or someone you know is interested in learning more or to find out if you qualify, visit mindfulmmjohio.com and fill out the short pre-qualification form. The process of finding a physician, filling out paperwork, obtaining medical records, and scheduling an appointment seems like it would be a daunting process for most. But, lucky for you, Mindful MMJ Ohio will help you every step of the way to make the process quick and easy. In most cases, we can approve a qualified patient within 24 hours. And the visit is virtual, so you don't even have to leave home. So what are you waiting for? Visit mindfulmmjohio.com today. That's mindfulmmjohio.com. Let us help you be more mindful of your health and find a natural way to find relief from your symptoms.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
This is Mike Voorhees, co-host of the Swing and a Tribe MLB podcast. If you love Cleveland Indians baseball, then this is the pod for you. We've got you covered each week as we talk about all the games, breaking news, trades, the roster, all things Tribe. You're going to love it. Go Tribe.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, it's Tito, host of the Premier Fantasy Podcast. Get all the news and analysis you need to dominate your fantasy league. I've been doing this as long as anybody in the business. I can help give you the edge in your leagues. It's the Premier Fantasy Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And so, I mean, and what are we at? 12? What is it? 12 and a half points we got on that?
Yeah, last I saw was 11 and a half. It may have went up. It started out at 11 and a half.
I'm not too worried
12
about
and a half sounds about right.
The dumpster fire that is the
we're going to win this game.
So
no, though, even though they won because they played the dumpster fire that is the Jacksonville Jaguars, where there's rumors that Urban Meyer is already thinking about resigning.
Yeah, I know, right?
But,
yeah,
but discussion for another day.
It was a weird week one, right? Pittsburgh won in Buffalo. Like it's a strange. No one saw that coming either.
The end of the game last night
right,
in the Ravens Raiders, just absolutely incredible. The Raiders tried their best not to win in overtime and still managed to win. So yeah, just you're right. Just an incredible week one of football. Football is back. I don't know if you saw, did you see the ratings for the Browns game?
No, I haven't.
It was the second highest rated opening game since 1999. Maybe it was. I think there are in the last 15 years, it was the second highest rated opening game. Only 2015 was higher. Since I think it was 15 years.
America's
so it had like
team.
Something crazy.
Like America's team.
At night, it was I think it was a 19.8 share or something That's crazy. Insane. So yeah, like the Super Bowl does 26 and that game did almost 20. So
yeah,
insane.
There was, and beyond Anthony Schwartz and Baker, among others that had some really impact plays. It was great to see Malik McDowell out there.
Yes, that you stole that off the tip of my tongue. Malik McDowell I thought looked fantastic. He is big, he is strong, he can move. I thought Clowney looked really, he had that nice tackle for that 7-yard loss on the jet sweep to Tyreek Hill. I thought Clowney looked good. Miles at times looked really good. I think he was credited with like 7 pressures.
Yeah.
I think the Browns had more pressures than anyone in the NFL.
I was kind of waiting for Miles to do something bigger. And and he did it towards
he did at the end. But
end.
you know what? You can't always quantify Miles.
Right.
We've been over this a million times because I used to take so much for saying I didn't think he had a great motor, but he does. And there's a lot of stuff he does that you can't quantify with stats.
Right.
Taking up multiple blockers, teams have to slant all their protections towards him that free up other guys. So, and plus Patrick Mahomes does not get a lot of pressures. I mean, I think I heard Nathan Zagura say that the Browns actually had double the average amount of pressures that Patrick Mahomes gets in a game. It's, some crazy next gen stat where the Browns pressured him, I don't know, 26% of it, whatever it was. So they did do a better job than maybe we thought on getting pressure on him. I thought Miles played a good game. I didn't think it was a great game, but I thought he played good.
Yeah, there was a lot. It seemed like the timing was off. There were some missed tackles here and there. It was almost like the timing just seemed off. We just couldn't stay right up on them.
And that could be could be a big thing too of us not playing much yet. And they played a lot more than us in the preseason, as we talked about. So
Jeremy, I was going to write this on Twitter. See, it's good that you're not on Twitter anymore because
okay.
I was going to write because Tony Dungy said it that, these guys get to play a little bit more in preseason. And I mean, we've talked about Mahomes throwing over 50.
Passes.
So it's like, does that play a part in it? It's hard to say, right? I think maybe the
hard
first
to say.
Game, sure. Maybe it did.
Yeah.
They have more of a they have the timing down a lot better. And maybe that's part of it that where we maybe could have improved a little bit and we could have snuck out that W with a little bit more.
And there's definitely something to say about we have a defense that's never played together. Never. We never had those guys
starters.
Right. That's what I mean. So, and I thought they actually, like I said, you can't look, everybody in the league has tried to stop Tyreek Hill going into every game. What they're going to do, and nobody can stop it. Right. Nobody. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think I saw definite improvement. I thought I definitely saw improvement in team speed. I thought they actually tackled pretty well. There were some missed tackles here or there, but I thought as a whole, as a unit, they tackled better than they tackled last year. So I'm not super disappointed. I know I was already seeing the calls where we need a new defensive coordinator, get him out, all that. I thought that was kind of crazy for week one, but I did see marked improvement. I think it's going to get better and better. Look, and you lost your, probably fifth or sixth best defensive player, the fourth play of the game on an absolute trash. If that coach
let's talk about that. Let's back up and talk about that.
And Tony Romo and Nance, they missed that whole scenario there. They completely misjudged what had happened there.
Yeah. So let's step back because I want to kind of delve into that. So Ronnie Harrison was tossed with there was almost 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
5 plays on defense, I believe.
Yeah, he was for shoving Chiefs assistant Greg Lewis on the sideline. It happened after Harrison was helping tackle Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And it looked like he maybe stepped on him or something. That's what the assistant coach thought, and kind of shoved Harrison. And then Harrison, obviously we saw that shove right back, which, look, at the end of the day, you got to keep your composure, right? There's no doubt about that. There should be no reason why you're losing your shit that early in a game, first game of the season.
Yeah. Not
necessary. However, there's got to be, with the NFL cracking down on all kinds of stuff, especially with the celebrating and all that stuff. Like, if they're trying to contain any type of reaction like that's right there is a perfect example of the coach cannot be, regardless of what Harrison did, which is wrong. That coach should not have not done that. And it has to be, even JC Treader was talking about it. He has to be reprimanded for that. You can't do that. You can't shove an opposing player.
I don't get it. I don't think Harrison was I think it was a complete misunderstanding.
Right.
And the coach got involved, and the coach should never get involved in that way, pushed him. And then it almost felt like, didn't it feel like in the broadcast, they were like kind of begging, saying, oh, New York can step in. They can do something because there's a flag on this. It's almost like they were begging them to do something. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did, they called the penalty on Kansas City. Then they came back out and called Ronnie Harrison and ejected him from the game. So I don't know. I thought it was missed. Obviously Ronnie should not lose his head that way, but I mean, coach pushes you on the sideline, man. It's just
I know it's a natural reaction,
just a
but
strange
it's like
situation. Exactly.
you're on that field and it probably stunned him a little bit because it wasn't a player.
Yeah.
It was a coach. And you're
Right.
like, wait a
You got a
second.
coach pushing you.
Yeah. So that I'm sure that played a part in it. But regardless, yeah,
You do have to keep your head. I agree. You have to keep your head. You
just
can't retaliate. Everybody knows it's always the second guy, right? That gets caught. So yeah, it's it's just dumb situation. Hopefully there's no other punishment towards Harrison. I haven't heard that there would be.
I don't think there's going to be. I heard that it's done from what I've gathered and moving on and such, but it just sucks. I don't think he needed to get ejected for the game. This is the type of dumb stuff that we don't want to continue. There was a lot of dumb turnovers, which we'll get to the next. Other pretty major turnover was Baker at the end with the interception, which was really tough for obviously a ton of reasons, but he threw one interception last year, and for him to do this on such a big play, and there's a lot of back and forth about so Jeremy, in your opinion, was he trying to throw it away or was he trying to make a pass?
I think he's trying to make a play. I don't think he saw the defender. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just got tripped up and he was trying to gun it out of bounds. But if that's the case, why not just throw it as hard as you can into the ground? Or, you know what I mean? I don't know. Well, I think I don't know. I think, I think it's Emmett Golden, who was on our show a few weeks ago, does Reason or Excuse on his show. Mm-hmm. I think excuse. I think it was an excuse. I think he's, covering for himself a little bit. And he doesn't need to. Look, he had a great game up until, last couple series. So, but I think he was probably trying to make a play. And minute 3, I think there was a minute 3. We still had a timeout. He should have just gunned it way out of bounds or into the ground, and we'd let the play another down.
Yeah, it's tough, and it unfortunately brings up a lot of that talk around Baker and his franchise tag.
It gives the national people all kinds of fuel. We know that the national people love Baker's like the whipping boy of the Colin Cowherds of the world. So of course it gives them another little bit more fuel to go after Baker.
And it's just going to take the Kansas City's they're way more established.
Right.
They've had more time together, and I really believe that Baker may not be there yet, and that's okay. We're not look, we would love for him to be there right now, but he's not. But we're really confident that it's not going to take very long for him to get there. And I have a feeling that next time any of those guys are in that situation, any of those major turnovers, they are not happening again. Not under the scheme that they're running with Stefanski. So I really feel for Baker. I think he's in a pretty tough spot, and I can't imagine the scrutiny that he's under. And I, for one, have given him a lot of scrutiny since he's been here. I mean, a lot of people have. Mm-hmm. I felt for him in that moment because I want to believe him that he was throwing it away, but you never know. Because if he would have caught it, then it might have been a whole different story, right? And I don't know why he didn't throw it. He had probably another step or two before he could have released it. I felt, but I'm not a quarterback. I'm not in that role and what he was trying to accomplish, but that it is the difference between someone like a Patrick Mahomes and him, that it just doesn't mean that he can't get there and be his own elite self. But it showed the difference of why the Chiefs are better. And we can't claim that until we actually beat them.
Yeah.
So I hope to see them again. I really do this year.
Me too.
Better.
If we see them again, it's it'd be nice. I think another thing, it kind of, at least to me, it codified with me the fact that we need home field advantage if we're going to play them again, right? So let's go out and rattle off a bunch of wins in a row, because I would do not want to go back to Arrowhead again with that environment, which will be even more raucous in the playoffs. Right. I want them to come to Cleveland Brown Stadium and see what we have to offer for our crowd in the playoffs.
Speaking of, so before I want to get to this weekend, but real quick, did you watch any of the Manning broadcast?
No, I was so upset. I completely forgot. So I turned it after the game, and I saw the very end when they won the game at the end, and I was so mad at myself. I did not get to see it. I heard it was fantastic. I was so upset that I forgot about it.
It was good. I liked it. It was definitely a different take, and it was kind of hard because I think they'll get better if they do it more and more. I think it's just something more of a comfort level, because then they had, they had special guests. They had Travis Kelce on there. They had Charles Barkley come on. So I was flipping back and forth going back and forth between the regular broadcast and that. But it was cool. I like the idea. I like, for me, I'm like a sports business side of things, and getting them those creative sides of broadcasting and stuff, I'm down for. So I really liked it. I'm sure you'll be able to, if you haven't already, catch some highlights on it, but I hope they do it again.
I need to. Yeah. I think and I hope so as well. And I hope to catch it. It was like last year. I thought the biggest home run the NFL hit was last year when they did the Nickelodeon game in the playoffs. So I thought that was so cool. And I know that's coming back as well. So yeah, it's nice to see the NFL, who for years never took any chances, never got outside their box, kind of getting outside their comfort zone and doing some cool stuff.
Right. All right. So let's talk about this weekend. So, first, the fun stuff. What are you doing? What are you doing for the home opener? Anything? I
will be there. I haven't missed a home game. You may not know this. I haven't missed a home game in years. I've been to every home game for years. And I will be, even last year, like I said, even through the pandemic, I managed I spent a small fortune to do it, but I managed to, because you had to buy whole pods, right? And even so, I have club level front row season tickets, like club 20-yard line. They're amazing. And but last year during the pandemic, you had to buy full pods. So you had to buy 4 or 5 person pods, and then as soon as they would release them to the premium season ticket holders first, and whatever you could get, you had to just jump on and get. So I ended up buying them to 7 games. And then I have a friend who has a suite in the stadium, actually, and he got me into the one I couldn't get tickets for. So I've been to every home game for at least 5 years, I believe, maybe longer. And so I will be there. I can't wait. So I take my son to a lot of games. He's not going this week, though. I'm going up with some buddies, and we're gonna do the whole thing. Go up early, tailgate in the Muni, and
Jeremy, can we
go to the game?
We need to share a beer, because I'll be up there. I'm not going to the game. But I will.
Okay, but you'll be up in the Muni lot somewhere.
I'm gonna be around. I'm gonna be making my rounds.
If you're
people to see,
there you go.
Places to get to.
There you go.
No, I mean I do, but I don't. But no, my friends are coming up. And we are going down to, definitely going to hit up some of the Muni lot and the West 6 tailgate. That's really big. I've only stopped in there real briefly at times. I've never actually spent a good amount of time there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
It'll be crazy. And watching the game downtown somewhere in the flats. So
awesome.
We got a spot. But yeah, I'm excited. I took off Monday. So
so you're ready to live it up. There we go.
My reservations to make sure I recover are always made ahead of time or something like this.
Smart.
I wanted to go all out. So
no, and
so it'll be good. So this weekend then, Texans, give me your prediction. Who do you think is going to have a big game? And then give me your score.
I think and if you look, the Texans offense has some decent names on it. I don't know if you look at Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram, they got Brandon Cooks at wide receiver. The Texans have a fair amount of talent on offense. I just think their defense is kind of a mess. And I think the Browns will be able to run the ball on them, at will, and be able to take their shots when they want to. So I see Nick Chubb having a big game again. I think Baker have a big bounce back game. I think it'll be a 2-touchdown-ish game. I think the Browns will actually cover even that big spread. But I think the Texans will probably put up some points. I could see the Texans 17-21, Browns maybe 35 in that range, maybe 35-21, 34-17, somewhere in that range. But yeah, I definitely think the Browns come out ready, business like, mentality, and they win the game. And I think you see Nick Chubb with a good game. I think you see Baker with a couple touchdown passes. Who knows if Odell plays? Maybe Odell has a long one, or maybe it's Schwartz again, stretching the field with that 4.25 speed. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the Browns win. I think the Browns can take advantage of the Texans offense. I think the Texans will make some plays. The Browns always do have trouble with guys like Tyrod who can run a little bit. So we'll see if that's changed at all. But
familiar faces with
the whole team.
Right?
There's a bunch of Pharaoh Brown starting at tight end for the Texans. He's a former Brown. Romeo Crennel is still with the Texans. Terrence Mitchell starting at corner. Money Mitch, one of our favorites. So yeah, there's a lot of familiar faces with the Texans coming back to play the Browns this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we need this. I think it'll be a good bounce back, a good little confidence booster for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
I agree 100%.
And it's going to be hot. So if you're going downtown, everybody, hydrate.
Yeah, I think 86 and sunny is 86 mostly sunny, I think I saw is the latest. So yes, definitely hydrate.
Yep, for sure. Well,
definitely hydrate.
We'll be chatting next week. Jeremy and I are predicting this win. I'm with you. I'm thinking 31-17-ish Browns. I think we're going to run the ball for sure. I think Chubb's going to bounce back after his little unfortunate snafu. And I don't think we'll be seeing that from him again for a really long time. So I'm excited. Let's hope all of our punts are actual punts.
Get punted. Yeah, let's hope our punts get punted.
That'd be nice. And let's complete these passes. And then, I would love to see OBJ. I don't know. He's, game time decision, right? He's a 50-50 constantly.
Well, what did they say that he would have played, but the Browns wanted a minimum number of plays out of him, or whatever, and they didn't think he was there. So
Stefanski
45 snap thing, or
Stefanski said that I guess something along the lines of he some plays he thought he could play, but he didn't think he could play the whole game, and it was just kind of wishy-washy. And now OBJ didn't say that, Stefanski did. So it's a little weird, but he's just not ready. So okay.
Yeah.
And I know that they're not.
And who knows? They could be playing cagey. They could be cagey on this. They may have the whole time known he wasn't going to play. Maybe they have a plan that we're not privy to.
Yep.
So who really knows?
I'm not questioning any of those. The hierarchy over there.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Me neither. Not yet.
Not yet. Great point. Great.
It's always subject to change in Cleveland, though.
You can't just totally let go. We're like, not yet.
Not yet. Nope.
All right. Well, it'd be good.
That's because of that's the PTSD of being a Browns fan all these years.
And that we can't help it. But that goes back to the week one, like overthinking and freaking out and assuming things. And it's like, but look, we're not the only fan base that does it. Everyone freaks out.
Everyone does. Yeah.
So I'm not worried. I'm feeling good. I'm going to be enjoying myself on Sunday in that sunshine in downtown Cleveland.
Yep.
Watching the Browns get the W.
That's right.
So,
let's go.
All right, Jeremy. Thank you as always. The Orange is Oranger is part of the Press Play Podcast Network. Follow us on Twitter at Orange is Oranger, at Press Play Pods, and to find out about how you can host a show on our network. Go Browns.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Oof, oof.